Hello, family, friends, followers, and guests. Thank you for dropping in. It's been a while since I've done a video, a week or two, maybe longer. I don't know. Time has a way of blurring together. I've had some real interesting times. Last night, as I closed out the year, I did a number of things to have it be successful. And I'm actually grateful, not that I'm wishing any of my life away, but I'm grateful to have 2020 behind me. So we started off in 2020 with, in February, my wife Linda passed away. As a result of that, I had a heart attack, stress heart attack. Then a short time later, after some grieving and separation process, long story, but I started internet dating, found Ms. Wright, who had a boat, promised to clean my fish, took me out fishing, and we got lost on the lake for all night. Serious condition. Thought I was headed to the hospital the next day. It took me 2 or 3 days, but I wound up there yet again. Another heart attack. Then shortly after that, getting lost and having the sheriff find us on the lake and all that kind of stuff. As the events would unfold, I wound up in the hospital yet again. Another stress heart attack. I've had three stress heart attacks. The third one was brought on with my second bout of the COVID. And it attacked my lungs, and my body, heart responded with the troponin. Serious enough. I wound up in the hospital, ICU, the whole Marianne, and then in the isolation ward. I no more than got out of the isolation ward, and all of a sudden it was time to, of course, go into home isolation. Nearing the end of that, my new wife tested positive, and we were in home isolation again. 2020, interesting experience. Along with the other things that could go bad, probably the best the best President Trump we've had in my lifetime. Gets defeated at the polls after we've gone through a whole bunch of voter fraud and all kinds of stuff. I've posted for months about the Biden cartel, Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, son and brother to Joe Biden, and things that they've actually done that wrong, that factually lay the groundwork, similar to what Clinton did, for felony acts. And those facts are a matter of the record, with Joe Biden admitting to it. And yet, for some reason, people with their head up their ass voted for do-nothing Biden, who hid from the campaign the whole time, probably the wisest thing he could have done, because not that he's an idiot, but he's certainly mentally challenged, and now he's our president, apparently. We'll find out when the time comes for the actual certification of the Electoral College, which hasn't been certified yet. And that's due on, I don't know when that's due, but January 5th or 6th or something like that. It appears that we've lost the presidency, we've lost the House, and the Senate's up for grabs, and the D's are lying their ass off. It'll be interesting to see what happens, if I'm around for it, to my posterity, if the D's win the Senate as well. So the bottom line with 2020 is it's a really challenging year for me, really challenging. And it looks like 2020 could be off to a real interesting start if politically we lose the Senate. I have decided to take life a little bit easier. So I got myself a new muzzleloader. It actually wasn't for myself, it was for Karen. It should be here in the next 2 or 3 days. That's kind of exciting. We have our first shoot that we're going to go to, the black powder shoot, on January 9th. We have a second one on January 10th. Karen's going to Southern California. I may or may not be going with her to visit family. If I don't go, it's because I'll be going to a black powder rendezvous doing things that are actually important. I don't have a whole lot of go around left in me, and I want to go around some more and do the things I love and enjoy. For the holiday season, I made 3 shooting pouches, one for a son-in-law, one for a daughter-in-law, and one for Karen. I have a thing I'm making for her right now, a shooting pouch, and it's fairly non-traditional the way I've made it. It's been kind of fun, and part of what's really fun is she doesn't know how non-traditional it really is. She's brand new to it, and she's excited about getting involved in going shooting. She likes to shoot, and she's worried about this big caliber. I got a 50 caliber half inch round ball, but she started being a little reassured when I told her it's all in how you load it. That I had a 4-year-old son shoot my muzzleloader. I had Jeff shoot it in a competition, as well as Troy, Roger, Chris. Now, I don't know if Adam ever shot it in a competition. Tara wouldn't shoot it, which is fine. She's got a gun now, but it's not a muzzleloader. She's got a couple of pistols. So life goes on. We have some fun times. We'll see how long we can keep going the way we are before government wants to take that from us. I've learned a lot about the COVID, and probably 8 or 9 months ago, I commented about the fact that this was just the first round and that we'd be having more experiences. Well, the last few days, the new COVID has come out. Of course, the COVID that got us is just a modification of the SARS back in the day, a couple, 3 years ago, whenever it was. Part of the political fun for me is that each turn in making these videos, when I've announced the probability of something or highly likely, so on and so forth, for things that were coming, in each of those instances I've been right. News media didn't talk about Hunter Biden, it didn't talk about the family cartel, or the literally hundreds of millions of dollars that have been sucked away. It wouldn't talk about, still won't talk about, Joe Biden. The reality is, after listening to him the other day, that Kamala Harris will wind up being our real president if that team gets past the Congress for the certification of the election. Did voter fraud happen on a whole-scale basis? Of course it did. Was it enough to impact the election? The answer is we'll never know, because the Supreme Court that everybody was so afraid of didn't have the guts and balls to step up to the plate and do what they could have and should have based on the voter fraud that went on and the things that went on at this last election. So here we are looking at a new year. I'm real excited about it. I took a few dollars, not much, but a few, and I spent money on my hobby. I've got a couple pieces of hide, and I'm making things. I'm going to Triple M muzzleloading group, which is it's not a primitive society, but they They shoot from the pouch and have a good time, so I'm way excited about that, looking forward to it. I've met a couple people from the group, a guy who claims to be Mexican but has no Spanish in his voice. I had a lot of fun harassing him the other day about being a wetback, and in a manly sort of way. And we didn't hear, "Oh, you said something wrong, you're so politically correct." He threw it right back at me like a man would. Of course, this new age generation, a bunch of these people out here that you know, maybe some of you, the bottom line is, in old school parlance, they're pussies, and they don't know what it's like to be a man, and so I probably have offended some of them. I got a lot of words for them. Both of the words are actually pretty short. But two's more than enough. I don't know if they could handle that. I had an interesting afternoon yesterday to close out the year. I ate pistachios. I had a bacon, lettuce, and tomato with extra bacon, extra crispy sandwich. I had popcorn. I had a chocolate Coke. I ate some sugar-free candy. It was almost obscene. And I thought, what a good way to close out the year. I really enjoyed it. I watched a mindless TV show, Revenge Show. I've talked about it before, Peppermint. This is all about me, but it's about closing out what was one tough year. But I got through it. And I'm interested to see what this next year will be like. I'm on new medications. Now I have to take my blood pressure each morning and each evening so I know which medications to take. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. Anyway, so life is interesting. We'll see what it looks like. I made a bet with Karen over the Fiesta Bowl. Oregon's going to play in the Fiesta Bowl. They're playing Iowa. I didn't give her any points. I was favored by 4.5 points. I don't know how you get a half point in football, but anyway, that's the spread on it. And I didn't give her any points. I bet a gun, and so that's the new gun I'm getting her, is a 50 caliber percussion rifle. And I went ahead and bought it anyway because you never know which team's going to show up, whether it's going to be Oregon kick ass or Oregon lay down and roll over. You can be pretty sure what Iowa team's going to show up. They're pretty consistent and they're favored. So it'll be a really fun game. If she loses the bet, then she owes me a Voyager's hat. This is a Voyager's hat. It's in the period of time hats were made like this as early as I've been able to chase on the internet, back into around the 1400s. So it's correct for a period if you belong to a primitive society, one that, like in a lot of times the muzzleloaders, is 1830 or earlier. So I could wear a hat like this. It's a special blend of wool, so it's not near as scratchy as my last one was. I've had a daughter and some daughter-in-laws who, over the last very few short years, have said they're going to make me Voyager hats, and I'm sure that someday that'll happen. And when that happens, I'll have a lot of Voyager hats. So I'm really into doing and back into the artsy craftsy stuff for the black powder thing, and it's a lot more fun. I'll probably still be politically active. I'll probably still do these kinds of videos, but I got my hands full with living life and dealing with what's going on around me right now. I had a surprise raise its ugly head here a few months ago, called the IRS, and they somehow seem to think that we owe taxes for 2018. That may be true, it may not be true. Linda was handling all of that. I don't know what was done. I don't know what hasn't been done. I don't know what triggered them sending me the notice saying that I had to file, because my relatively passive revenue stream has all been protected. My disability payment is disability and it's not taxable. My Social Security doesn't rise to any taxable level, and I don't have any other income other than a couple of small contracts that don't rise to a level of having to do anything. I don't want to suck off the system in taxes, but if I have to file taxes, I'm sure that I qualify for that kind of giveaway stuff where they steal from you guys and then they give it to everybody that's older like me to buy votes, and we get to unearned income or something like that. I'm sure somebody will explain it to me. I did find a pretty responsible person who's going to take a look at all that for me and handle it. And wow, double wow, triple wow. It almost cost me the price of a new computer, but my computer's fixed. I found a geek here who's really a neat guy, John, and John has done some amazing stuff with my computer. So I have 4 processors on my computer now. I have Windows 10. I have Windows 10 Pro Virtual, so I have an independent standalone virtual machine, and I have 2 Linux operating programs. So I have the Mint and the Zorin Windows program. So I've done a few other things, and along with that I have the Firefox, and I do my Google through Firefox, so that if somebody wants to come through Google and get to me, they got to bust through Firefox, and they got to bust through one of those 4 systems, and each one standalone, independent of the others. So for the first time, I have a certain degree of security. This is all a bit about me, and I hope in some ways, I don't know how it could be instructive to you, except for chances are most of you who are going to watch this, the few that do, you will be younger than me, and perhaps through my life's experience, if you've gotten old enough to finally learn from other people's experiences, maybe something that's in this would be helpful to you, and if not, entertaining. Although I don't know how that would be. I see these pundits on TV, and I don't TV on YouTube and Facebook and different places. And I try not to do the pundit thing. Most of the things that I talk about are real in one form or another, and the things that this last year that I said were either had happened or that either have happened or are going to happen and have happened. They were all based in an application of history, what's happened in the past, as projected forward. Those who can't learn history are guaranteed to repeat it. And natural and logical projections from actual facts and actual evidence. When we have actual facts and actual evidence, if we're smart enough, and that you don't have to be very smart, but smart enough to look at those objectively, to take your personal biases out of it, what you want them to mean, what you think they could mean, but what they really mean. And understanding that politicians are liars and most often are bending the truth, if not outright lying, to achieve a particular political goal. So when you weigh those things all together and you turn to the few people that you can turn to who talk facts and evidence, and none of those will be Democrats, and most of them won't be Republicans. You look what's happened to Trump over the last 2 months, and you can begin to understand how aligned the swamp is, how full of rhinos it is, and how little support he's actually had to get the things done that he's done for and behalf of you and me, regardless of your political affiliation. You've seen more protection come out of him in the last 4 years, while he has constantly fought the swamp, and independent of the swamp, the Democrats, the obstructionists, the do-nothing, the years worth of Russia collusion. There's been some Russia collusion, hasn't been by Trump. You look at the payoffs in the Ukraine, you look at the relationships, not of just the Bidens, but a bunch of the swamp people who've been involved with China. And China would take us over in a heartbeat, but for our military strength. And they're taking us over anyway if they keep at it the way they're going. I went to Bed Bath & Beyond thinking I'd like to find something really special. And I started going through there, and everything I picked up was from some other country. I didn't find one thing made in the USA. And probably 70% or more of it, 7 or more items out of every 10 I picked up, were from China. And there was Thailand, Vietnam, Mexico, the list goes on and on. But those are the big suppliers of the things that we take, not American, not buy American, not support American, but support the country overseas. And Trump has done a lot to slow that down and bring our money back to us in the form of supporting our independent businesses. What do you think the pandemic's all really about? I've learned a lot, having had it, the COVID twice, and reading it almost every day and studying it. I've learned a lot. Is it real? The answer is yes, kind of. Not the political hype around it. That's all a bunch of bull. And that's all about power. Both sides, these and ours, trying to get power, trying to take more control of our lives away from us. The concept of the free and the independent American and the free and independent American spirit. I don't remember what the number was, but there was some number, and I'm just going to throw one out as representative for one of the games that's in California. And they made a determination that at the game they could have 6,551 people come to the game in a stand that would hold 50 or 60 or 20 or some magic number of thousands of people. Well, here's the test. And if you're too damn dumb to understand this, then it doesn't matter to you. Let's use a number. I'm going to choose one. We're going to say that they said 6,551, whatever the magic number was. Why not 6,552? Why not 7,329? How did they arbitrarily, and it is arbitrary, how did they arbitrarily pull that number out of their ass and say, this is the magic number? It's obvious, it's clear, totally clear. Wherever that number came from, it was not from science. It was not from evidence. It was not based on actual fact. And then we look at what's happening in the world of the pandemic with the resurgent and the big numbers and everything that's going on right now, what we're calling a pandemic. You take a look at that whole thing. If these kinds of things worked, if they actually worked, then how come some of the numbers are becoming so much larger? It's not rocket science. Those people, they're politicians, and they're lying for their own political goals. The Democrats want total control. I mean, there's no reason why. If they believed what they said, then people like Newsom wouldn't be going out and doing fine dining and totally ignoring the orders that he gives everybody else. How can he give an order like that and not put himself in jail? I mean, he's at the top of the food chain. He knows he violated his own law. Why doesn't he put himself in jail or prison where he belongs for violating the law as he believes it is supposed to be applied? What is there about that? Go ahead and tell me. Tell me one thing, just one, that makes that real. And I defy you. You can't do it. And you're going to say, well, I can't do it because you won't listen. That's not true. You can't do it because the facts don't support you, and the evidence does not support you. And that's the bottom line on that. And we have a history of these. That leads me into Black Lives Matters. Another absolute joke. I don't remember that 6-year-old's name that got shot and killed here a few days ago. Apparent drive-by shooting. But if Black Lives mattered, as opposed to all lives mattering, if Black Lives mattered, then every one of those people who are speaking up and say Black Lives Matters would be supporting the police, and they would be doing something about the thousands, not thousands, actually tens of thousands of blacks that are being killed in the big cities. Instead, they want to defund the police. What does defund the police say? It says, get your gun to protect yourself from gang violence. And if you're really smart, you'll get in a good, strong gang, so you'll have a way to have a brotherhood behind you and protect yourself. Because that's the only place you're going to get protection if you take it out of the hands of the police. There are those that are saying, well, we'll spend the money more wisely, with more wisdom. Yeah, how are they going to do that? We're going to have corrective groups that are going to analyze this. One of the rules of politics is, if you want to avoid something, assign it to a think tank. Now you can look like to the people that you've done something. We've got this think tank working on it. Think tank will do nothing for years except for suck your tax money away from you. Nothing for years. And the politician will say, look at what I've done for you. But anyway, this is as close as I'm going to get to a rant. I'm really excited about 2021. My health, in spite of some of the recent challenges, is overall getting better. My weight is maintaining. I'm having overall better control of my diabetes. And when I went into the cardiovascular for the cardio/vascular review I had the other day, in every one of the areas where I've been challenged, everything's looking better. My kidney function's better. My heart function has actually improved just a little bit. A number of those kinds of things. So I'm excited about this year. Karen and I are going to do some tripping. We've been planning some plans. We're going to be doing the black powder thing, perhaps a little rendezvousing. I'm going to get into making things again with my little tools and have some fun. I'll bring them in here and occasionally post a video showing something I've done. I made myself a ball of string the other day out of leather. so that I can have lacing to lace things up with my leather. Again, I'm making another trip, I think, to Tandy's, most likely. Fun times, good times. I hope each of you can have a more healthy year this next year. We're going to have trials and tribulations. People around us will die for a lot of different reasons. But I hope you and your family can be healthier, and that you can do things together, and that perhaps economically you can survive enough that you can actually financially enjoy some things. Maybe plan for your posterity and do some positive things. Can't shut up. Old fart syndrome has got a hold of me so bad. And I'm looking forward to this next year. And for those of you who want to follow along, I'm going to try to do a weekly presentation on Fridays or Thursdays toward the end of the week and talk about some of the fun things. With that, I appreciate for any of you who have seen this and you haven't heard the invite before, that you follow, subscribe, those kinds of things. And I look forward to any comments you have to make. If you're enough of an asshole to be offensive to everybody in the world, I'll delete you and block you. But I'm surprised for the number of people I have on my list. The quality of comments overall has been good. And I appreciate that. With that, make it so. Have a great year. For those of you who have recently had, apologize. I haven't had birthday comments from me because a few weeks ago when I ran into the COVID, my life changed and I haven't been near as active, and my computer was broke. So I'm going to get back into that. If you've had a birthday in the last couple of months, I want you to know that my heart was there, even if I wasn't.